Hello, my name is Erik Løber, as mentioned, and I'm Managing Director of Boost PLM here in Denmark. Software robots and RPA technologies are becoming more and more popular over these years, and they're very much used in finance areas, finance departments, for invoice scanning, automatic bookkeeping, and even customer services. We see these bots coming in. But can these bots be used in product development and in the more administrative part of PLM? That's what we're going to look at in this presentation here today. Today, companies are using a variety of different IT systems, from PLM, ERP, MES systems, CRM systems, etc. And many of these systems are using for different purposes, obviously, but they're also sharing some common information and data. So today, in most cases, we see a lot of employees that are using their time on creating and maintaining data across different systems in order to ensure that the data is consistent. Some companies, and especially the big companies, have invested huge resources in connecting these systems instead. Obviously, these connections are quite powerful, but they also come at a cost. Especially, it requires, in many cases, that the systems are having some customizations themselves in order actually to ensure that the connection is going through. These customizations are not easy to do. It requires very skilled people, very deep technical expertise, and also these come at a cost. Robot process automation, as it is called, or just bots, are working in a different way. They have the ability to imitate a user and thereby directly through the user interface of the programs and software solutions connect with the systems and exchange information from multiple systems, either to connect two systems, ensure data is trivial, but also in some cases making decisions where some data is coming from system A, some from system B, and it all goes into system E, for example. So basically, they are just imitating what we tried to do in the old days in a manual fashion, but with a much lower cost, because it doesn't require customizations to the tools and it doesn't require deep technical expertise. What are the benefits of robot process automation? First and foremost, it's about cost. We increase the productivity by not using time on less important things and non-value adding information. And we also have the ability actually to scale at a fixed cost. So we ensure that as the company is growing, the costs are not growing just as much. Another area is the quality and standardization area. We have no errors or fewer errors when human interaction is not a part of the play. And also we ensure that we're having a better customer consistency, and we can actually ensure that we are always applied to certain rules. A third area is the employee satisfaction. We have less trivial tasks to do, so we can actually invest more of our time on what we like to do, on the product development itself. Also, this is very important when it comes to employee onboarding. A lot of companies are having many legacy systems, and if new employees need to understand and get learning into all these legacy systems in order to make the right business decisions, it takes a long time actually before you're fully productive. But with fewer systems and automatic connection between those systems, that becomes far easier to onboard and takes shorter time. And last but not least, the customer satisfactions we also see grows with this. First and foremost, we get a better consistency and a high quality, which obviously always is something that the customers like. But also we actually have what is probably the most important. We get a shorter time to market. And time to market are these years becoming more more important. If we want to ensure that we can actually live up to the green transition and actually have new products which are more going in the right direction with energy consumption, etc., we need a much shorter time to market. And in this game, RPA, bots, whatever we call it, is playing a vital role. So what are the areas within where you can actually do automation and where we have the potentials when it comes to PLM? If we look at this small graph, basically in the middle, in the black, we have the product life cycle. So we have a product that is starting in product development, then it's going through sales, manufacturing, operation, service, and last also the recycling part of it. And basically for all these processes that is going through, we have a number of specifications that are published through the engineering change management process coming from the engineering model. And for all the processes, we then also have a flow of information going back to the engineering department so they can actually produce even better products. In all these areas, there are potentials. Just to mention a few of them, you can say across this life cycle, many companies have the vision to create a digital thread. And this digital thread is a vision, but it's also a hard vision, because a lot of legacy systems will still be in the game for a long, long time. And we also have, in this process, we also have systems that are not so easy to interact with. For example, also our customers or our vendor systems. But RPA can actually help that, and it can actually bridge those missing links that we have in this digital thread. One example is the creation of new parts. One thing is to create the new part and the bill of material directly in the PLM system or in the CAD system. Then it has to go through ERP, but it's also going to a lot of other informations. It might be that it goes to our spare part catalogs. In many cases, we also see that large vendors request that the information that or the components that they can buy from us as spare parts, etc., also needs to be entered into their systems. And it's our responsibility to ensure that the right data is available in some, you can say, foreign systems from our customers. This is an area where RPA and bots can help a lot. Another area is to ensure that we have the consistency, actually to check whether the data across the different systems are still aligned and completely correct. Having the correct data and collect that data also ensures that we can actually make better business decisions, and we have the right foundation for doing that. It requires that we collect a lot of information from different systems, not only the PLM system or the ERP systems, but also CRM systems with customer complaints, etc. And in many cases, we are also talking about legacy systems that we need to collect the data from. Data that might be 5-10 years old, but which is still important for us in order to understand when we're doing a new product, what are the faults and errors and the problems that we don't want to repeat again. So that's just some examples. I think in your company you probably have a lot of more very concrete potentials for using bots. I'll go over to an example showing a very simple use case here. In this case, we are having a company that are basically doing a BOM out of their CAD. They have it in Windchill, but they don't really use Windchill as much as they could in this case. Basically, they take out, export a bill of material into Excel, and then the process today is that since they have not modeled cables and some consumables like Loctite and oil, etc., then they are adding additional manually into the Excel additional components that they want. And then they hand over this Excel sheet to a colleague, and then this colleague starts typing in, perhaps using copy-paste a few times, but basically typing in all this information into the AAP system, in this case SAP. Basically what we did with this robot here was we took the part from the Excel, and it starts by creating all the materials. It logs onto the system through normal credentials, and it will simply just repeat and imitate what the user would do in reality instead. This demo here I'm recorded in slow motion so you can actually follow what is going on, but obviously it is running faster in the real life. When it has created all the materials with the information needed, then it will go over to the next step, and that is creating the bill of materials. And that is just in the same way. The bot is imitating what the user is doing, creating each and every bill of material with the information on the lines, etc., and then going through the entire Excel sheet. And when we have finalized this, then obviously we get the ability to see that actually the bill of material looks like it was supposed to be. This was obviously a very small example, but still powerful, and I think it's important to mention that there was used absolutely no customizations within Windchill, within SAP, or within Excel. We didn't have a single macro or a single formula used in Excel. And what is even more improving is that actually that it took us, our expert, less than a day actually to create this example. And I think that also proves how fast you can actually get these bots into work compared to traditional integrations. And it can be used with basically any ERP systems or any other tools you like. And it can be used with SAP, as in this example, also with SAP Business by Design, which is a new cloud solution, Economic, Microsoft Dynamics, Navision, etc., etc. And also with Windchill and other tools in the engineering end. So there's a lot of potential. So what are the tasks that we want to basically automate? First and foremost, we have some tasks that are very complex. They are ad hoc, they are highly complex, they also require some professional assessment, and these are not the tasks that are right to automate by a bot. That will take more time. We will need to have better tools in order to go there. But the tasks that we also have a lot of and takes a lot of time is actually the more routine-based tasks. They are repetitive, they are based on rules, they are to some extent mature and more stable. And these tasks are perfect for putting into a bot. I talked a lot about the good sides on the bots, but certainly there are also some things that is important. First of all, you can do bots on very many different levels. Most companies will start with tasks where you have a user interaction, where the bot is basically triggered by the user and perhaps even on the user's machine himself. That can give a lot of good opportunities, but I think most companies will actually go to the next level where you have a true RPA, where the automation is going more across the business, and the automation is basically triggered by an event, not a user pressing a button itself. There are further options and opportunities that is still probably more for the next years, but that's about machine learning and artificial intelligence. And you can say in the first two steps, we are talking about event-driven or bots that are driven by a process. Whereas when we're talking about machine learning and artificial intelligence, it's more about bots that are driven by data. So, is it all good about bots? No, certainly there are some challenges. If your company has not started the RPA journey yet, then the investments for you in the R&D area will be quite high. Usually an annual license fee for RPA tools are in the size of 15 to 20,000 euro. So it's not cheap necessarily. And also you will be missing some experience and competences in that area in order actually to create the bots. If your company has started the RPA journey, I think there's a good chance that it has been started in finance. And it has been looking very much in the areas where you have hundreds of thousands of transactions that you can easily repeat. Very often the RPA suppliers will really be focusing on the CFO, and they will not be focusing on the areas that requires PLM knowledge. Also because the business case seen from the outside is obviously bigger when you have a lot of transactions than if you're having a few more, which is the case for PLM areas. So many times you will see they start with the big business cases, and that's not where necessarily PLM is on top of. So is RPA not an option for you? I think it is. Basically at Boosthill PLM we have created a concept called Bot as a Service. It's much more fast and flexible because you don't need to do any investment in licenses. That's something we take care of. There will be an annual fee or a usage fee based on how much data you process. And you don't need to have a lot of involvement from the IT team. It doesn't become an IT project. Basically, we need to get agreed on some security areas, but that's it. You don't need to invest in headcounts for maintaining the bot, and we can actually implement these bots very fast, simply because we have a very standardized plan, build, run process that we follow. So we are really able to do this and deliver this in a fast and efficient way. And we have at the site also the experience in the PLM area. So who are we? How it comes that I can say we have a good experience? Well, basically we work on both a technical, a process level, and also on a strategic level with PLM. We have over the years been doing a lot of different solutions for our clients, coming from document management, engineering change management, automating within ERP and PLM systems, data processing. And now the newest thing that we're taking in as a competence is the RPA technology. We have a very holistic view. We understand and really excel in the area where you need to ensure that both the processes, the systems, but also the data and the people behavior are aligned. If we're not having, we can have as good processes and systems as possible, but if we don't have the right data, then the people behavior will not be as we like, and it will basically not support the entire solution. So we need to understand all those 4 areas in order to succeed and have success in our areas. That was basically what I had for today. If you have any questions, then please speak up, or you might also contact me directly. You see my contact details here to the left. So look forward to any questions.